problem is flooding. At least 8 people are dead, and the rivers are still rising. Missouri Governor Jay Nixon has declared a state of emergency, and pieces of Interstate 70 outside St. Louis are closed because of flooding. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel wants his police department to review the crisis intervention training they receive. This in light of the fatal shooting of a male suspect and the accidental shooting death of a 55-year-old woman during a domestic call Saturday morning. Star Wars: The Force Awakens has earned $1 billion at the box office, faster than any movie in history, 12 days. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Stuck in traffic? We've got the answer from the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
I'm Paul Bodenloss with a look at the roadways. On the inbound Eisenhower, it's a little slow between Racine and the Burns Circle interchange. Thorndale to the post office, 30 minutes. From Manheim, it's about 17. Stevenson heading inbound slows down between State and Lakeshore Drive. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 36 minutes. From the Tri-State, 26. Dan Ryan heading inbound, slowing down between the Stevenson and Roosevelt. 95th to downtown should take about 20 minutes. Downtown, Wabash Avenue at Chicago Avenue, there's been a report of a crash. Finally, in the Chicagoland area, we're dealing with a winter storm watch throughout most of the Chicagoland area. That continues until 6 p.m. Monday evening. Taking a look at the temperatures tonight, 32 and cloudy. Tomorrow, 37 and snow. Currently, it's 38 degrees. Next update in 15 minutes on AM560. The Answer.
If you're looking for a better shooting experience, imagine shooting virtually all your firearms the same day. You can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, or compete in a 3-gun match. You can exercise that rifle out to 600 yards, even engage in a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. Do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Whether you're a novice looking for a basic course or an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, even if you want to participate in your favorite shooting event such as IDPA or cowboy action shooting, spend an enjoyable day with the family at the Aurora Sportsman's Club, the only shooting facility in the region that offers all of that and more. If that sounds interesting, don't miss the next orientation and a tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois. Call the membership department at 815-264-9000 extension 44 for information. That's 815-264-9000 extension 44 to join a one-of-a-kind shooting facility. The Aurora Sportsman's Club.
You know going to the dentist can be really expensive. So the question is, why don't you have dental insurance yet?
Because it costs too much?
Ooh, good answer. But actually, you can get dental insurance from Physicians Mutual Insurance Company for less than $1 a day.
I know, because it won't cover the expensive stuff.
Not true. This insurance can help cover over 300 procedures. Everything from cleanings and fillings to pricey crowns and dentures. You should call for a free information kit with all the details.
Okay, but can I keep my dentist?
Yes, there are no networks. You can see any dentist you want and never pay a deductible. Plus, your acceptance is guaranteed for one of these insurance policies, even if you're retired or on Medicare. Don't wait to get all the answers. Call now and they'll rush you a free information kit. 1-800-933-1159. 1-800-933-1159. That's 1-800-933-1159.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
I have 2 words for you: predator drones. You will never see it coming.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues. Here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David and Gretchen will be discussing recent gun control news, the trendiness of censorship, the Obama administration's ISIS strategy, and what Americans want the government to do. And be sure to stay with us for segment 6, when we'll be discussing the Illinois pension crisis. All that more on tonight's On Target Radio. So be sure to give us a call at 312-642-5600. Go to Facebook and like our page, On Target Radio, and ask a question there.
And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion. It's time for David's Rant of the Week.
Anybody who knows me knows that I'm not the least bit interested in sports. After trudging down the driveway knee-deep in snow or being pelted by driving rain to get the paper at 5:30 in the morning, the first thing I do is throw away the sports section. I readily admit that I have never been an athlete. The few times I've tried were dismal failures. I was always the last one picked for dodgeball or to get into a softball game in 8th grade. Freshman year, I tried out for track, the hurdles, to be specific. The coach had us run and jump over one folding chair. We did that several times, then he put 2 chairs back to back. I jumped, caught my foot, and fell face down on the ground with my legs tangled up in the chairs. As an undergraduate at the University of Illinois, I played intramural football, totally bereft of knowing any rule pertaining to the game. Our quarterback would simply put me on the line and tell me to block one specific individual. And generally, I did okay with brute strength and ignorance. In graduate school, I got talked into refereeing intramural football. Words cannot express what a total disaster it was to have me as a referee. There were times I thought I was going to be tarred and feathered. I admit I enjoy boxing, and I find mixed martial arts enjoyable, but more along the lines of watching a train wreck in slow motion. I was mesmerized by Ronda Rousey, and then she got into being a star and got the snot beat out of her, and that pretty much ended my interest in that. The thing is, I don't dislike sports because I'm horrifically bad at them. I dislike sports because I find that today's athletes as a whole are spoiled, bickering, outrageously overpaid whiners that would be better in the company of Barbara Walters, Rosie O'Donnell, and Whoopi Goldberg on The View. Look, I'm a capitalist to the core and believe strongly in a free market economy. I think it's great that the Lakers' Kobe Bryant earns $23.5 million and the Knicks' Carmelo Anthony $22.5 million. I don't begrudge them that for a second because they're getting paid what the market will bear for their services. But here's the thing. Forbes estimates the average NBA player earns $4.9 million for the season, and yet he's incapable of leading a decent life. They shoot each other, do drugs, and complain constantly about how bad they have it. You know what? If you're hauling in $4 million a year, please have the courtesy to shut up. But that won't happen because it's all about money. Apparently, they're not able to squeak by on $4 million a year. So athletes today are for sale, and they'll hawk anything to make a buck, which brings me to the point. Michael Bloomberg, the gazillionaire, who has neatly transitioned from being a lousy mayor of New York City to a lousy citizen of New York City, has been backing gun confiscation for years. Bloomberg uses his own money to bolster the gun confiscation theme any way possible. So it's a bit surprising that it has taken him so long to climb into bed with the NBA. They're both all about money. Bloomberg giving it away for acting as his stooge, and NBA members for being stooges. Bloomberg has bought their souls. Am I the only one here who sees more than a little irony in the NBA promoting gun control? NBA members have more gun charges against them than fouls called during a Milwaukee Bucks game. So NBA players will appear in Bloomberg's anti-Second Amendment commercials featuring survivors of shootings and relatives of those killed by guns. Well, assuming it wasn't an NBA player that did the shooting. While that may play well to the audience of the liberal-governed major metropolitan areas where the NBA has a franchise, it's also true that John Q. out in the hinterland buys a lot of beer, pickup trucks, and sporting goods hawked in NBA game commercials. Just watch the commercials and see what market most of them are geared toward. It ain't the effete patrician snobs who inhabit the multi-million-dollar New York Upper East Side condos. This whole thing could backfire in the NBA's face. Kathleen Behrens, the league's president of social responsibility and player programs, said, "We're not worried about any political implications," unquote. What could possibly go wrong with that? And that, Gretchen, is my rant for the week.
You forgot baby mamas on the list of things that they whine about.
Baby mamas, that's right. They take in too much money.
That's right.
Listen on Target Radio's AM560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. Do you think that the NBA now actively supporting gun control and gun confiscation? Well, they don't say gun confiscation per se, but gun control. Do you think that's a good idea? And will it matter to you? And more importantly, for all of those who are, say, they're dyed-in-the-wool Second Amendment voters and they, I won't vote for any candidate that's not pro-Second Amendment, are you going to stop watching NBA games?
Yeah, they're probably going to be really conflicted. I mean, I know I live with one. I live with somebody who watches professional basketball games, with some regularity, and that's going to tick him off.
You know what? Here's the thing. You walk the walk, you talk the talk, okay? Mm-hmm. I want to see what's going to happen. I have seen nothing on Facebook.
Yeah.
Nothing about this at all.
Either.
All these two-way people, guns, they're trying to take guns. Yeah. I've not heard one person say NBA is going to be in commercials that are anti-gun. Mm-hmm. Now we're seeing who really believes in what they think.
And I think you're right about it backfiring. I think they're probably going to get a flood of phone calls and emails. And I don't know if anyone's willing to boycott, but I think they're gonna get a lot. If they do it, they're gonna get a lot of response, and it's not going to be positive.
I'm telling you right here.
You're right about the flyover states. I mean, the main fans are not these people sitting in the front row. The main fans are the people sitting in their lazy boy at home.
You're absolutely right. And I personally have taken a vow I will not watch an NBA game.
That was probably difficult for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I lost a lot of sleep over that, about 15 seconds. Now, gun control, of course, we know, once again, our great leader.
Yes.
What do they call that guy?
Dear leader.
Dear leader, right. Dear leader.
Under the heading of my job as your mind reader.
Yes. Well, and you do it. You do well. You actually do well.
Thank you.
Which is scary. Actually, if you really could read my mind, I would have more black eyes than usual. But again, he's so blatant about it. It's not even like he tries to hide it.
No.
He has a little committee of his people in the White House who are looking at ways specifically to circumvent Congress.
I could just see them like in a little windowless room, like busily working on, executive orders that he's going to.
They got lawyers sitting there going, well, you could do this and get away with it, but you can't. I mean, they're specifically doing away with the whole checks and balance thing.
Yeah.
So Rand Paul, did you say this? I know you saw it because I gave it to you. That was cute. Rand Paul has introduced legislation that would literally gut that. It would make anything like that. What's the word I want? Not
advisory in nature.
Correct. Advisory in nature. That's right. It talks about it would apply to any executive action on gun control that either infringes upon congressional authority or potentially violates the Second Amendment. Now, and then it would classify as advisory only. Now, but here's the thing. And Gronkowski right now is shifting weight in the chair. He just put his brandy snifter down and he's shifted weight
for the phone
in the chair. That's right. Because here's the thing. Who determines then what is against the Constitution? Who interprets that?
Sure.
So, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it sounds to me like what this is going to do is be a long drawn out, probably in the courts, and then Obama will be out of office.
Right.
And that'll be the end of it.
Right. Well, I think that's the point. I think Rand Paul is trying to, blunt the effect of anything that Obama's going to try to do. And I think he, maybe trying to make it, unsavory for Obama to actually do it.
How many times have we said at every juncture we would be calling this guy out? We'd be trying to impeach him. We'd be just throwing stuff at him constantly, making him do veto, just to keep him busy.
Yeah, keep him off the phone.
Yeah, between that and the vacations, we do it. Anyway, okay. We're going to be back. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. And we're also going to talk a little bit about the college president who just said enough is enough. All that and more when we come back with On Target Radio. And you're listening to AM560 The Answer.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Taking a look at traffic on the inbound Eisenhower, a little slow as you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My nose is cold.
I'm going to rub it for you.
You know your dick warmer. I need a nose warmer.
Jeez.
That was my father's, please. Somebody gave my father,
So much better.
this is long before I was born, I assume.
They can hear this too, by the way.
Somebody gave, that's
okay.
That's it, doesn't matter.
You can say hi to the guys at Gun Channels who are watching right now.
Well, somebody,
Hi, channels.
this, now remember, if my father were alive, he'd be like 105 now. So we're talking about, this goes way back.
Yeah.
Somebody hand knitted a dick warmer. I just, what did you say?
What was was it like a gift, a Christmas gift or something?
I have no idea. I found it when we were cleaning out his office. When he retired and we're cleaning out his office, I found this little box with this wrapped in tissue paper thing.
And that's what he said.
I showed it to you, right? You saw it or not?
Was it labeled as such? Or you just told
No. It's just obvious. Because I don't want to get real descriptive here.
Okay.
But it covers everything. Okay, it's like a little jacket you put on. Okay. Yeah.
Got it.
Well, it does.
And see, I would think it would be like more like a leg warmer, so that you don't have to take it off when
on Target Radio.
Oh no. It's obviously not meant to really be. I'm assuming.
Is that obvious?
Well,
I'm not sure.
Maybe it's not that obvious.
Not being the possessor of a dick, that wasn't obvious to me.
I just took a leap of faith that it was a joke and not actually intended.
You're hoping it's obvious.
I don't think you don't picture your parents having sex.
Unless you've heard it.
Okay, so anyway.
It's really gross.
Yeah, well, that's it. But you know what I mean. It's just they're your parents. You don't think about it.
Right.
So when
you try not to think about it.
Right. And when you're cleaning out your father's office when he retires and you find a dick warmer, it sort of takes you aback. You know what I'm saying? You go, what's this?
I would be very taken aback. Unfortunately, my father does not watch the YouTube feed, but if he did, I would be like, I hope
if you have a dick warmer,
find a dick warmer.
Yeah.
You better throw
Our
that away
viewership has just dropped a few viewers.
Is what? How many we got?
It's dropped down a little bit.
What?
It did.
They don't like this conversation?
Apparently
What?
not. We lost about 3 viewers.
This is a red meat issue that affects your life.
Maybe they'll come back.
Let's kind of govern the way we use red meat and that kind of stuff.
Well, and that too is a point. Well taken. Yes.
But change.
Okay.
So please continue to support Feed the Children with a tax-deductible gift of any amount at any time. Local food centers with 25-pound boxes of non-perishable food items.
Of the families who need them the most. Just go to feedthechildren.org. And thanks again from all of us at AM560 The Answer.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back with more On Target Radio. Give us a call, 312-642-5600, 312-642-5600. We may actually be seeing, I'm fed up with all this stuff. And here's a college president, which I think, first of all, the guy's got a lot of guts to even say this in this climate these days, but I'm impressed. He's president of Oklahoma Wesleyan University.
That's part of why he is saying it.
Yeah, it is. But even still,
it's a religious school.
Yeah, but even still, people are real touchy about what you say. So the students complained to him. They felt, this is even hard to say, they felt that they had been victimized because someone on campus gave a sermon on love.
Yeah, I thought that was that was an exclamation point.
I'm apparently missing something here. I'm not quite sure what. So I give a sermon on loving one another, and you feel victimized for that.
It made the student feel bad for not showing love.
Okay, and instead of changing their ways.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Especially at a religious Christian school, that's the whole point.
Yes. I think we can safely say that's true. So what do? They complain to the president. What does the guy say? This is, I think, actually very, very cool. He said, I'm not making this up. Our culture has actually taught our kids to be this self-absorbed and narcissistic. Anytime their feelings are hurt, they are victims. And then he goes on and he says, publicly, comes out on publicly and says, this is not daycare or a safe place, but it's a place to learn, which is the whole point.
It is. I mean, when I was in school, they used to say, if you stay up late talking about, religion and politics and having arguments, that's good. That's what you're here for.
Exactly.
Is to broaden your mind, beyond what you got in your family and in your, K through 12 education. It's to be exposed to ideas other than that with which you're familiar.
Sure.
And that's basically what this president is saying.
Well, and you're right. I went to, University of Illinois the entire decade of 70s. I liked it. But back then it was, it was very anti-government. It was Vietnam War and all that.
Sure.
And I never had a problem in class when students would take that position. I felt they had a right to express an opinion. What I found disconcerting is when I wanted to express an opinion, which was the opposite. This is a theme of liberalism. I mean, that's 1970 something. And even back then, they always preached about you have freedom of speech. You should be able to express your opinion. Unless the opinion disagrees with what they want.
Unless it was like pro-military or pro-war.
Yeah, exactly. So, in this guy, his name is Everett Piper, president of Oklahoma Wesleyan University. Literally, he talks about there are universities that have trigger words and they have safe places. And I forget which university it was naturally an East Coast one. Some conservative speaker was coming to campus. It might have been, now that I think about, what's the all-women's university? Very famous.
Wellesley.
Okay, I think it might have been there, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think you might be right.
A conservative speaker was coming to campus. First of all, they tried to get that person axed and not allowed to speak. But when that was not going to work, they had to have a safe place where they could go and stand, I guess. And she wasn't allowed to step in that space, or I don't quite know how safe spaces work.
Yeah, I don't know either. We just stayed in our dorm room if we didn't like what was going on campus.
I don't know at all about that. But so kudos to him, to that president.
He says the antithesis of the liberal arts is the shouting down of another human being because you disagree with him or her. That is not education.
And he's dead right. The entire concept, because let's face it, unless you're getting an undergraduate degree in like engineering, pretty much no undergraduate degree prepares you for anything, really.
Yeah, there's a few. There's some vocational ones like accounting and education, things
what
like that.
employers use an undergraduate degree for, the reason they ask for it is, can you start something that's tough and finish it?
Right.
That's what it's like a proving ground. Can you do it?
Right.
And part of that,
and have you gotten an education in a variety of things?
Right. And
exactly. Whether it's an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree, you get an education. It's not a vocational school. You get an education in a variety of subjects.
And part of that is being challenged intellectually.
Exactly.
That's literally part of it. There's nothing wrong with somebody explaining to me about something that I disagree with, because it helps me decide, do I really believe what I'm saying?
Right.
Do I need to temper it because that's a good point? Or are they just a total moron? But you know what I'm saying?
Well,
that's part of the
it helps clarify your own thinking, but it also exposes you to historical ideas. I mean, I had to take like a philosophy class. Philosophy 101 at Millikan was basically history of philosophy.
Sure.
So it wasn't necessarily we expect you to believe any of these things. It was simply education in this is the history of philosophical thinking. These are the different things that have been, and it makes you understand, when people talk about Nietzsche or different, Freud and different types of things like that, then you understand, you have the historical basis to understand what it is they're talking about.
See, Nietzsche actually predicted this radio show. Nietzsche said, out of chaos comes order.
There you go.
And there it was. But here's the thing. Even that today, they're rewriting history. It just ticks me off about the Confederate flag. They're tearing down general statues.
Yeah, they're
those
going
things-
everywhere and finding things that have to do with the Civil War and
Right.
and
or anything
you
they
know,
don't like.
any sort of racial
Right.
tension historically that's happened.
It's not promoting it. It's saying this is where we come from.
Right.
There's a
It's
lesson to
just
be learned.
commemorating it.
There's a
Right.
lesson to be learned. You take your kid to a statue of Jefferson Davis and you go, look, this is what happened in this country.
Right. Exactly.
You can't whitewash history, which
Right.
is what they're trying to do.
hmm
They have your little safe.
Yeah,
spot.
there's in Maryland there was a secular group that wanted a World War I memorial. So
Right.
it's been up for 80 years or so, 90 years, and they wanted to take it down because it's in the shape of a cross. And luckily, a federal judge basically handed their butt to them and said, "You're a joke, and go away." She threw out the case. So so that's good. At least some judges are doing the right thing.
I think we're beginning to see a backlash. What do we got? We got John. John from Crete is on. John from Crete is on. John, we almost have to go to break. So you got about 1 minute, buddy. How you doing?
Oh, fine. How about you?
We're doing okay. Go ahead, make your point.
Yeah, I challenge your point that the players are getting the market value. That isn't the way it happened. Many years ago, Kurt Flood, a baseball player, sued the league, and that's when the $1 million is going to roll in for baseball, football, and hockey.
All I'm saying, I mean, you're right, but what I'm saying is that the teams wouldn't pay for it if they didn't see a reason to have that player on the team. They would, they're not going to give $10 million to somebody that they don't see any value in. So they're getting their market value. It's what the team thinks they're worth. Otherwise, they wouldn't pay for it, would they?
Well, at this time.
Yeah, well, right. So that's all. My big thing about organized sports like this is I don't begrudge them any amount of money they make. Anybody. I don't care. Money you make is great. The question is, if you're making that much money, shut up. I don't want, lead a life that at least in the, years.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
Oh, no, but I mean, years ago it was like 10,000 and so forth, and it jumped from thousands of dollars to millions, and it only happened because Kurt Flood. So I think it was not what physical prowess they had or anything. It was going to court, and I think that wasn't fair.
Well, you're right, and the profound effect it has actually had is it used to be when I was in high school, you could go to a Cubs game or you could go to a Sox game. You could go, you know what I'm saying? You could afford to go.
Yeah.
I mean, today the average person can't afford to go to these things.
Yeah, it's outrageous. You wanted to go to a Cubs game this summer, and unfortunately, they were doing very well. So the ticket prices were even higher than they normally are. But it's cost prohibitive. I looked at it. It was completely out of my price range.
Yeah, it is. By the time you get done doing that and you have a hot dog and whatever it is, you've spent $100. And then you got to pay the kid not to steal your hubcaps. The kid comes around and says, "I'll guard your car for you." Yeah, right. Okay, that sounds like a plan. I don't know. If the hubcaps are gone, you just go to Maxwell Street. They're down there somewhere.
Yep.
All right, we're going to be back. We're going to come back after a few messages, and on this go around, we're going to talk a little bit about the Pentagon, and they've defied our illustrious president. I can't imagine how that could be. So we'll be back with all that and more on Target Radio. And you're listening to AM560, The Answer.
So the attack in San Bernardino is enough.
Censorship in general.
About which one?
Oh, the Planned Parenthood censorship.
And this is the one I bring back.
That's it.
I mean, we can tag it in if you want.
If we have time, because I don't think there's that much here in the ISIS one personally, but
maybe not. But it is interesting how the numbers break down. I don't know that it tells me a whole lot, but it talks about how. I'm reading the wrong one. That's not. I'm looking at this thing in Syria. I'm going, what? That's not that. Right. Never mind. Do we have anybody back watching?
Yeah, there's two people watching.
We got two.
Well, there's two guys on gun channel right now, surprisingly, but usually there's a few more. And on our actual feed, it was bouncing around from like, I think, 8 to like 5.
Did you go on the things in Florida?
No, maybe we lost them.
Maybe they had psychological problems with that.
I don't know either.
Well, somebody's on 2, but there's nothing written up. Yeah, but it's been like, 4 minutes and 6 seconds.
He's interrogating him.
Yeah.
He's got a serious look at his face.
Yes.
Over on the inbound night, slow step racing to the circle. It's 31 Thorndale, 18 from Manheim. Outbound, Sacramento to Central, 23 to Manheim, 36 to Thorndale. The outbound Stevenson a little slow from an earlier crash. Hartwell to the range. It's 28 to the Tri-State and 38 out to 355. No delays inbound. Edens and Kennedy also clear, as is the Ryan I-57, the Fort Lakeshore Drive and your Fort area toll roads. Winter weather warning goes into effect tomorrow. High winds and a lakeshore flooding advisory could see waves up to 20. Right now it is 28 degrees, overcast and breezy. Rain and snow and sleet tonight, a low of 33. And again tomorrow that morning, and a high of 37. Next update, 15 minutes on AM560 The Answer.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. AM560 On Target radio co-host David Lombardo.
What was that one lunch? It was the luncheon thing we're supposed to go to? Was that on Wednesday or something?
Yeah, that's when all the new the people who have new products and stuff will be there.
Okay. That is Wednesday. It's lunch though, right?
I think so.
I'll have to track it out.
Safer USA.
That's when you'll.
A lot of things to plan out. Sure, try to plan out, but I think most of it's going to be come up with a game plan and then you get to it. Just like re-going, sometimes it goes out the window.
Well, the question you want to ask yourself is, we'll go in the press room and see what the press releases say. If there's some big thing, that's where you want to go.
Yeah.
If there isn't a big thing, then we just decide on, okay, how do we want to do it? What do we want to make it sound like? You know, what kind of, do we want to talk to the ammo guys? Who do we want to talk to?
Association has supported the rights and freedoms of Illinois citizens to keep and bear arms for over 100 years.
SRA has supported the use of firearms as a sport for personal protection and as a aspect of national defense. For over 100 years, the Illinois State Rifle Association has been supporting you. Don't you think it's time you supported them? ISRA.org or 815-635-3198. The Illinois State Rifle Association, supporting you.
Kitchen need a makeover? Tired of your outdated bathroom? Did a big box store raise more questions than answers? The answer is Stone City. 2 million square feet of marble and granite countertops in 50 colors starting at $26 a square foot installed. Plus the latest appliances, cabinetry, faucets, and fixtures. Stone City designers transform your dream into reality. Stone City, 3053 West Grand in Chicago, or call 773-533-9806. That's 773-533-9806. Stone City, it's your home only better.
Did you know a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, you might not sleep so well. But now, SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. It kills 99.9% of all CPAP germs, and it's completely hands-free. For a limited time, you can try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. Just call 1-800-901-9633.
SoClean changed the CPAP experience for the better. My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean destroys CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs with no hassle. Never have to clean your machine by hand again. There's no water, chemicals, or disassembly. Just pop in your mask, close the lid, and presto, your CPAP system is clean and fresh in minutes. Call SoClean.com to try it risk-free at home for 30 days. This is a limited time offer, only available by calling 1-800-901-9633. That's 1-800-901-9633.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back, more On Target Radio. Hi, I'm Rick Suzak, the Advertising Sales Director for On Target Media Group. If you own a small business and you have more exposure to potential customers, what small business doesn't, we can help. For over 3 years, the On Target Media Group has been helping small businesses grow. We offer many different and affordable marketing packages through our partnership program. Plus, we can even create a custom program tailored to your business's needs. To find out more, contact me today at sales.ontargetradio@gmail.com or visit our website at otmediagroup.net/sponsorship. We look forward to helping your business reach its target.
And we're back with more on Target Radio. Give us a call, 312-642-5600, 312-642-5600. Weigh in on this one. I think this is very difficult for me to believe that somebody was actually objecting to an Obama policy. How could that possibly happen? I don't understand that at all. It turns out that the Pentagon basically had a little secret revolt against the White House, and it had to do with arming. I don't know how many people understand this. Our government is actually giving arms to ISIS and hope that they'll overthrow Assad in Syria. Okay, now follow this closely. ISIS are the people who are killing Americans and beheading them and stuff. Okay,
and British and Japanese.
Yeah. But we're arming them.
Yeah.
Now, the other interesting thing I find about this is world leader. Remember, this is the United States. We're the world leader. Yeah.
Used to be.
Who do you think bombed the living snot out of Syria and ISIS camps?
We did.
No, the Russians.
Oh, yeah, the Russians. Well, we did some, but not as much as the Russians and the French have.
What we did is we took an airplane and we let it fly over, and they dropped like little bags of stuff. I think swag bags or something, The military guys that I've talked to, military doesn't talk about the president because he's the commander in chief.
Sure.
They're not happy people.
Right.
So now the Russians are doing the right thing, which is very hard to wrap my brain around, but
yeah,
they're doing the right thing. But in any event, the Pentagon has literally got their back up over arming ISIS, and they do. It's a little bit like high school when your parents say don't do something, and so you do something just because they said don't do something. So they gave them old equipment.
Yeah,
which I thought that was interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, this new document has come to light. It's a highly classified Joint Chiefs of Staff report. Predicted that arming the rebels and toppling Assad would lead to the rise of ISIS. So they correctly predicted that this would happen, but Obama wanted to do it anyway.
Well, and what the generals did? They gave the intel, which Obama wouldn't look at, according to this article.
From what I've read before as well.
Yeah, he has no interest in seeing any intelligence.
He's told them don't brief me on this stuff. I don't want to know.
Right. So you don't want to let good intelligence go to waste.
Well,
so they gave it to Assad.
You spent all that time and money digging it up. So yeah.
Right. So they gave it to Assad.
So they passed it directly to Assad.
Which I thought was kind of funny, actually.
Well, actually, no, they gave it to Germany, Israel, and Russia, and they gave it to Assad.
Right. Well, we couldn't give it directly to him because
we don't have his email address.
Well, no, technically, that would be in direct violation of the order of the commander in chief, and it'd be court-martial. It'd be treason.
It would be treason. Yeah.
So, but if you give it to somebody who is our ally, who is going to pass it on to Assad, well, then
Israel is our ally.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Israel talks to Assad a lot.
Well, apparently they gave him our intel.
Well, they probably slipped it under the door and ran, but yeah.
They were like, you did not hear this from me.
No. Using non-target radio's AM560 The Answer. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. Our lines are bereft of callers at the moment. I like that word. I've always liked that word.
It's a pretty good word.
Just in general, the whole concept that we are arming people who are trying to kill us and we're letting them into the country. Here's the true irony is we always talked about seal off the border so they can't sneak in. Now we just let them in.
Right.
Really, it's scary. It's scary because these guys, and then this president talks about it's work. It's everything but terrorists.
Right.
Workplace violence. It's this, it's that. They were radicalized.
I thought it was interesting that I think it was the day after the attack in San Bernardino, Obama declined to call it terrorism. Oh, we have to investigate. And the next day, the FBI was like, it's terrorism.
Yeah, exactly.
The FBI is like, we don't need to investigate any more than we already have. We had 24 hours. That's about enough.
See, that's also extremely interesting because the head of the FBI works at the pleasure of the president.
It's a political appointment.
It is. Just like the generals, you don't make general without the stamp of approval from the commander-in-chief.
Right.
And these people are openly defying their bosses.
Yeah. The other really bad thing that's going on is that intelligence officials actually know some of the physical locations of the places where the social media
targets.
stuff is coming from. But they're in residential areas in Syria, Iraq, and Libya. And the Obama administration will not give clearance to destroy these places. So, he wants zero civilian casualties. It's not realistic.
Truth is you want a lot of them. That makes wars end. We're going to be back with more On Target Radio after a few messages. When we come back, we're going to talk about, I don't know what, something or other.
What Americans really want.
What Americans really want. That's it. We'll be back with more On Target Radio. And you're listening to AM560, The Answer.
How can you get from here to there? We've got the answer from the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Taking a look at traffic. Delay free on the Edens and Kennedy 190 extension.
Dave, you may be in one of the only forums on earth where saying that we want more civilian casualties because that's a war faster will not be held against you. I said you may be in one of the only venues and forums on earth where talking about having more civilian casualties in order to end the war faster is not held against you.
Well,
the other one is obviously Bomber Command headquarters in 1941.
But you know what I always say? What do Hiroshima?
I start calling you Harris.
What do Hiroshima and Dresden have in common? They ended wars. We bombed the living crap out of them.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki did not end World War II.
Well,
Russian involvement in northern China ended World War II because the Japanese were like, okay, forget it. They went on beyond Hiroshima, don't forget. And half of the war camp still didn't want it.
How long did it go beyond?
Until the Russians came into it, and then they said,
yeah. They, you know what? You make them. You heard them so bad. Eli's cheesecake. Mm-hmm. Did you bring some?
Frank, Dave,
no. Hello, how are you? Just wearing their advertising today.
I thought you were
not
like
getting paid
cheesecake
for it.
man.
Yes.
We like Eli cheesecake.
It wasn't very long after the Nagasaki bombing
No.
that the Missouri surrender took
It was like
place.
a week or 10 days. My father was there.
Yeah.
Not when it took
it was within,
my father was a doctor, and
the official. We still in very quickly after they said, okay, we'll be there tomorrow.
Here's the thing: military goes on fighting as long as the commanders tell them to fight.
And
you
even
don't have to
beyond,
like
they're
it.
in a tunnel without communication.
Yeah, you don't have to like it or not. That doesn't matter. You just keep going. But when the
always about
civilians say we've had enough,
right?
War's
Exactly
over.
what it is. Although in Imperial Japan, those weren't quite very distinct. I think many traditional civilian tasks would be headed by one.
I think the German people were surprised when bombs fell in Berlin.
They were very surprised. That's not what Hitler promised. It's YouTube.
Once business owners realize the risk of not being incorporated, they usually scramble to form an LLC. To make it quick and easy, Incorporate.com is now giving away a free incorporation guide.
Owners, so you can incorporate it in just minutes. For your free 10-minute incorporation guide, call now 1-800-969-5334. Protect your financial future. At Incorporate.com, they don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating or forming an LLC quick and easy. Call now for your free 10-minute incorporation guide. 1-800-969-5334. Hurry while supplies last. 1-800-969-5334. That's 1-800-969-5334.
You're listening to On Target Radio on AM560 The Answer with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back with more On Target Radio. Give us a call, 312-642-5600. I just want to tag on what we were talking about in the last segment before we move on to the next thing. And this is what I find really hard to wrap my brain around, being an ex-military guy. Obama, when you know you have targets, okay, they know for a fact that they've got targets, all right? Obama has to approve all this stuff. He has refused to permit airstrikes 75% of the time against ISIS.
Yes.
Knowing that there's a target there, confirmed, because he's psychologically hung up on collateral damage. We didn't have collateral damage in World War II.
Yeah.
We just killed everything that got in the way until they got tired of fighting.
Well, and the other thing, the social media is the big part of the problem with ISIS. They're very effective in getting their message out and recruiting using the social media. Well, why don't we take some of these people like from the NSA who are like spying on Americans and use them to like hack these social networks and bring them down? Like, why don't we use our government people to actually do something right for a change instead of just breaking the law and violating the Constitution and our rights?
Maybe they don't want to.
Yeah, because they're socialists and Big Brother has to be watching you.
The man did not lie when he was first elected. He said, I will fundamentally change this country. And people read into that what they wanted to read into it.
Yes, they did.
He's done exactly what he said he would do.
That is true.
And it's chilling on how he could do so much with a Congress and a Supreme Court in 7 years.
Yes.
They've just, and you know why? Everyone's afraid of being called a racist. That's what it ends up being. Anytime you say something.
At this point, you know what? At this point, being called a racist it's been so overused. I don't even know how that has teeth anymore. I don't even know why anyone's even scared of that anymore. Your Ted Cruz's and your Rand Pauls of the world. I'm surprised they don't just, basically give him the middle finger and be like, I don't care. We're gonna impeach you anyway.
The Don does.
Yeah.
That's another story for another show.
Exactly. That's a whole segment.
That could be a whole year's worth right there. Just dissecting it. There's still a lot of people that think he's a Hillary plant.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who think that.
I'm not sure. I don't agree.
It certainly is possible.
Yeah.
I would like to think it's not true, but it's
as
possible.
Would I.
Yeah.
As would I.
But anyway, getting on with it, getting on to what we're supposed to be talking about in this segment. This is a list. They did a poll of what people prioritize in terms of the top issues that people want the government to address. And it's kind of interesting because there's differences by age. And when you go down the list, for instance, the economy, okay? Younger people, well, let's see where it is. The economy is behind it by the narrowest margin. 23% name the economy as the primary concern. The older you get, the more you begin to worry about things like that.
Sure.
So this study looks at them by age. So millennials' top concern is the economy. They want to know what's going to happen to them 25 years or 30 years from now. Gen Xers, the baby boom, people like me, we're obsessed almost with terrorism. I mean, literally, we're almost obsessed by it. And I think rightfully so, but then that's part of being obsessed by it. Immigration is second in millennials and the matures list, while the economy is second to the Gen Xers and the baby boomers. And I find that interesting because, as I said, we're talking about coming over here. My retirement thing just halved during the recession, and it's barely recovered. I mean, barely. So that's a big deal for me. We have we got Sean from Elmwood Park. Sean, how you doing this evening?
Very good, very good. You said something that's interesting to me. I'm on the way home from the Hawks game, and I had your show on.
Okay.
So you said something that's interesting to me. You said that Barack Obama is politically correct, and he refuses to identify ISIS, and therefore he is refusing to bomb certain targets. And I have a question. You know what I've come to learn in my years? That is the flaw of humanity is we give strangers our integrity. We give strangers our ideology. We cast it upon them. We give them the benefit of the doubt. And what I see when I listen to that sentence and what I'm seeing throughout these 7 years is I don't think he's doing this out of some sort of twisted political correctness. Why isn't this called sympathizing with the enemy?
Oh, well,
why aren't these policies? This is what we used to call sympathizing with the enemy. You remember in World War II?
Oh yeah, you bet.
There was no tolerance for this kind of subversion.
It was treason.
That's what it is.
It was
I
treason.
was going to say, I call it treason all the time.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Why do we give the benefit of the doubt to someone who who has destroyed not just our domestic tranquility. I've never lived, I'm almost 50, and I've never lived in a time in this country when society is so at each other's throats, so ripping it apart. We have bald-faced lies when it comes to the economy, 5% unemployment. They're manipulating our currencies. They're lying about the state of affairs of the citizens. We have all of these aspects of our country that we're being lied to, we're being frauded. And now when it comes to the most important, which is to keeping us safe, we're saying, he's just doing a terrible job. I don't think it's that benign. In fact, I think it's a malignancy.
I think you're right, Sean, and we're going to have to take a break, but I think you're right, and we talk about that on the show all the time. This president has gotten a pass for doing things that if a Republican did it, he would already be in prison. All right, we're going to be back to wrap it all up with more On Target Radio in just a couple of minutes, and you're listening to AM560, The Answer.
Yeah.
How much time you need?
USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm
Probably
training,
less than 2
is
minutes.
offering beginner
Okay,
classes,
less than 2 minutes. All right.
long-range
Very
rifle
short.
to
I
600
time
yards,
you and go
and
to
the
it.
comprehensive Illinois concealed
cut
carry
the cord.
program
That's-
available. AM560 on target radio.
You should brought the snowman.
Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Snowman. She bought her dad a snowman.
Okay.
Like a vintage one with the they call them blow mold, you know, the molded plastic
Yeah,
ones from like.
Yeah, it's not actually made out of snow. It's a front lawn, like a.
But yeah, he loves it.
Lawn.
He's like, I've been wanting one of those.
Your daddy mean or David?
My
No, no.
dad.
Oh.
My dad.
David has not wanted one.
So you know the movie Red.
No, I don't know.
Bruce Willis, Morgan
Did you set up a
Freeman.
Christmas tree? Hey, did I saw you.
Me?
Yeah. Sorry.
I almost didn't. And
It was a movie that came out like 4 years ago or whatever. Big stars: Bruce Willis, Morgan Freeman, Mary Louise Parker. What's the British lady's name?
It sounds familiar with all
But
that.
anyway, so they're all retired spies.
Okay, I saw previews for it, but I hadn't seen
Okay,
actually seen it.
so Bruce Willis. It starts out Bruce Willis is a retired spy. He's the young one. He
Right.
just retired. He's like alone in his house, bored out of his mind. He has no friends, nothing to do.
Yeah.
And he goes out to get the mail, and it's winter. There's snow on the ground. He goes out to get the mail, and he notices that all of his neighbors have Christmas lights on their houses and Christmas decorations.
Yeah.
And now that he's not traveling the world for work, he wants to fit in, and so he gets a lighted plastic snowman and he sticks it in the yard, and that's it.
decoration, yeah.
That's funny.
So that's why I wanted to get it for my dad, because I tease him all the time that he's just like Fritz Moses in that
Because he
movie.
doesn't have anything set up otherwise.
Well, no, we don't. We don't have any Christmas decorations in our house at all. And he looks kind of like Bruce Willis in the movie. He can't talk to women. And
With more interest on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
And we're back for more On Target Radio. I think our last caller really hit the nail on the head that this president is, why does he keep getting a pass? I mean, we talk about this all the time, but why?
Yeah, well, like I said, I think it rightfully should be called treason. But like when we had our constitutional experts come in, they said treason only applies in a time of war. So since we've not declared necessarily a war, you can't declare war against somebody who's not a country.
That, you see, and
It's
that,
a technicality.
that is a problem.
He's
That-
getting off on a
yes,
technicality.
That is a
what
problem
it is.
because this is a war, like it or not.
It is.
And it's going to be a war in our streets.
And if he hasn't given aid and comfort to the enemy, I don't know what would be that.
I agree. All right, here it is, folks.
Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
Plan ahead to join On Target Radio at the Chicagoland Gun Show, January 22nd, 23rd, and 24th at the Donald Lee Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont. Your ticket also allows you to enjoy the Chicago Outdoor Sports Show. This year, you can get a taste of the shooting sports at our indoor air rifle tent and laser practice pistol competition. If you want to get a Utah concealed carry permit, Safer USA will offer the class on Saturday morning. So don't miss the Chicagoland Gun Show, January 22nd, 23rd, and 24th at the Donald D. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont. Now that the president has signed the National Defense Authorization Act, 10,000 1911s will be released for sale each year for the next 10 years through the Civilian Marksmanship Program. In order to purchase one of these historic pistols, one of the things the CMP will require is a membership card from a CMP affiliate, such as the Illinois State Rifle Association. So if you would like to purchase one of these famed firearms, join the ISRA. The following Safer USA classes are at our facility in Waterman. Saturday and Sunday, February 13th and 14th, February 27th and 28th, and March 12th and 13th. Illinois Concealed Carry 1. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry, as well as Florida, Arizona, and Utah. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on register.
I would point out, not to belittle my friends in the ISRA, but Aurora Sportsman's Club has a very, very solid civilian marksmanship program, which you can go. It's a really good deal. It's very inexpensive, and it's your choice. You get to shoot an M1 Garand, a carbine, or an AR-15, and you get a certificate for that too.
Yes.
And they're our sponsor. Of course, so is ISRA. So we cover both bases. Rick, are we doing segment 6?
Yes, we are. Tonight we'll be discussing the Illinois pension crisis. And to watch the segment 6, you can check it out at youtube.com/OnTargetRadio.
That's going to be a safe subject to bring up. Talking
yeah.
about why teachers get too much retirement. Good. Did you bring your body armor to go out to the car?
No.
Yeah, I may need it. You never know. Somebody be out there with tools of math instruction or something. I don't know. The outdoor show, also a big thing that is going to be at that is ISRA is going to have the ISRA Academy with speakers and all that kind of stuff. So, and we'll have our stuff, the air rifle thing, get the shoot free air rifle, and it's going to be interesting. Should be fun.
Yeah, I think it's going to be, we try to make it better every year. And so I think it's going to be better.
It's going to be better. It is indeed. And that's pretty much all I can say about that. Just you want to attend that. And you certainly want to watch the week of the SHOT Show, which is 2 weeks from now.
I think 3 actually.
Is it 3 weeks from now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Monday marks.
All right. Because we'll be doing live interviews. Well, obviously you don't do dead interview, but anyway, we'll be doing live interviews and putting them up. So we'd like to thank you for listening to On Target Radio, and be sure to listen next week when Gretchen and I will be discussing more red meat issues that affect your life.
We'd also like to thank George Hoffman on the board, Rick Cizek, our social media director, and our sponsors, the Illinois State Rifle Association, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, Stone City Kitchen and Bath Design Center, and Safer USA.
And as always, Michael, thanks for making it all happen.